Crossair Flight 3597 is cruising at 27,000 feet above Germany. As the autopilot flies the plane, the crew begins reviewing procedures for their landing. It's the last flight of the day on this busy European route. The 660-kilometer journey from Berlin south to Zurich takes only an hour and a half. There are many empty seats on board. Flight 3597 is an Avro 146 airliner. It's a British-made jet popular with regional airlines like Crossair. Captain Hans-Ulrich Lutz is in command. He's been with the airline for more than 22 years, having served as a pilot and as an instructor. The flight is slightly behind schedule. It's due to land in Zurich in less than half an hour. The plane's sophisticated computers will do most of the work getting them down. At Zurich Airport, the weather is getting worse and visibility is dropping. In the tower, controllers have started a nightly routine. A supervisor sends out a message notifying crews that runway 14 is being taken out of service because of a controversial new law. Planes landing on runway 14 must fly over Germany on their approach. But people in Germany have long complained about the noise. Switzerland has agreed to shut down runway 14 after 10 p.m. to keep landing planes out of German airspace and use runway 28 instead. The crew hasn't received this information yet. But First Officer Lehrer is familiar with the new rule. Unlike runway 14 with its sophisticated instrument landing system, runway 28 is not equipped for ILS landings. Instead, it has a less accurate navigational system. It's called VOR-DME. A radio beacon sends information to an aircraft about its distance from the runway and whether it's left or right of it. It provides no guidance on the plane's altitude. Pilots would rather not make VOR approaches because they place a greater workload on the flight crew. Because of its less precise technology, runway 28 was rarely used for landings before the new noise law. Now Captain Lutz abandons the ILS approach he was planning and prepares his first officer for the new non-precision approach. The crew goes over every detail of how they will approach Zurich Airport. There are only a few planes left to land tonight, including Flight 3597 and two other Crossair flights just ahead of it. As the aircraft approach the runway, controllers need to keep them apart. Captain Lutz makes the final turn to line his jet up with the runway. The plane is now in the thick of the heavy weather surrounding Zurich. At the airport, the second-last Crossair flight touches down on runway 28. Now, with only Flight 3597 to land, the supervisor decides to head home early. The controller handling the aircraft is the only controller left in the tower. She gets a report from the plane that just landed.
Visibility approaching 28 was borderline. We could only see the runway from 1.3 miles out.
But Captain Lutz knows Zurich Airport well. He continues towards the runway. The plane begins the final stage of its approach. Captain Lutz begins slowing the jet and puts it into a steep descent. The descent gets even steeper.
Full flaps, set.
Flight 3597 is about 3 minutes from the runway. Captain Lutz expects it to come into view any second now.
Do we have ground contact?
Yes.
In the tower, the controller monitors the flight to make sure it's lined up with the runway. The flight has hit decision height, 2,400 feet above sea level, 1,000 feet above the ground near Zurich.
I have ground contact. We're continuing on.
Captain Lutz still can't see the runway lights, but knows that the flight ahead of him had the same problem. They should almost be on top of the runway by now, but for some reason they still can't see it.
Make a go around.
The crew decides to abort the landing.
Go around!
Go around.
And pushes the plane to its limits in an effort to get it to climb. Captain Lutz throttles up his plane's 4 jet engines as he aborts his landing at Zurich Airport. But it's too late. There's not enough time for the engines to get to full power and clear a tree-covered hill suddenly looming dead ahead. Residents of a nearby village witness Flight 3597's final moments. The jet clips the treetops. Moments later, the aircraft plunges into the hillside. The impact tears the aircraft apart. Crossair Flight 3597 has crashed near the village of Bassersdorf, northeast of Zurich. Within minutes, emergency workers get to the crash site. Some people have survived the accident. 24 of the 33 people on board Flight 3597 are dead, including Captain Lutz and First Officer Stefan Lehrer.